County Legislature to order, and Mrs. Goodhine join us, or start us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I should say, standing for a moment of silence for our veterans, past and present. Okay, thank you. Call the roll.
Hartman. Rose. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Manning. Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Mano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Kaplinski. Horst.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here.
50.
Quorum is present. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections to the minutes of January 9th and January 14th? If there are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented for audit by the legislature. And there's nothing on the desk. So we'll dispense with the regular presentation for, we're supposed to have 9 in, but
They're downstairs.
they're not.
Yeah. I thought they were just hanging out there. I guess they gotta go over
All right, well, we'll wait a second here.
I want to just keep going.
Yeah, we can go on with the agenda here. We'll have comments by residents, seeing how there are no residents signed up to pass. Communications received by the legislature and the committees to which they have been referred are listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention of any particular communication? We'll move on. Pursuant to Rule 6, Number 8, reports of standing committees. I'll ask any chairperson of the committees if they have any progress reports to be made. Are there any? We'll move on. I guess we can continue with consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the title of each resolution on the consent agenda?
Number 15 is Human Resources adopting annual report of mental health services. 16, Ways and Means adopting annual report of the fees received by the Personnel Office. 17, Ways and Means adopting annual report of former self-insurance plan. 18, Ways and Means adopting annual report of the standalone workers' comp plan. 19 is Ways and Means transferring funds in 2012 budget. And 20 is Natural Resources Ways and Means extending a contract for a chemical at the sewer district.
Those being read, motion by Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Consent agenda passes. Okay, we'll suspend our regular meeting and go to our presentation by our 9 officials. Bernie, did you want to make an introduction?
Shy.
It's a representative Bill Van Blair from Maine Insurance.
Thank you. It's our 4th year in a row, I think, that Bill and I have been here to bring a check to the county, so I hope you're not getting tired of seeing us. Okay. Just real quickly, I'll just give you a quick update on what's going on with NYMER. We finished 2012 with 47 new additional members to the program. So we now have 688 members in the program. We added 2 more counties, Chautauqua and Ulster County joined us as well. I know with the storms that we've had, a lot of the membership is curious on how that's impacted NYMER, as you are also a member of the NYMER program. We made it through 2011 with 2 hurricanes. I think we thought, what could possibly top that? But we didn't know about a Frankenstorm back then. So just to give you some perspective on the storm losses, in 2006, as you may recall, we had flooding from the Syracuse to the Binghamton area. We paid about $6 million in flood losses that year, still had an underwriting profit and added to surplus. After Irene and Lee, we had about $8.3 million in flood losses and also had an underwriting profit and added to surplus. We, of course, don't have our final numbers in for 2012, but it looks like we'll pay about $8 million worth of flood losses in Sandy. And I know sometimes upstate communities get a little worried about everything that's on Long Island and what happens down there and the impact that that has for upstate. So I think it's all stayed relatively in perspective there. The other good news is we are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. I think that, yes, exactly. I think we are probably the best and the longest running example of private and public partnership in the state and intermunicipal cooperation. And we have to thank our members for that. You've really taken on loss control and risk management and preventing your losses and helped to make this company successful. Mang Insurance and NYMER are always there to partnership with you, whether that means training your employees, reviewing contract language ahead of time, reviewing policies and procedures, whatever we can do to help you prevent losses. We're here to do it, and that means we're gonna be around for another 20 years, writing another 600 members. So thank you very much. Now for the other big to-do that Bill and I are here for, as I said, our 4th year returning capital to you. At the end of 2012, we will have returned $9 million, over $9 million to our subscribers. So hopefully you're able to put that to use at the local level. So Bill and I have a check here for you tonight for $30,111.11. So thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay warm out there. Yes.
Presentation.
5 or 6 of them would be in there. We're all set.
All right, we'll move on with our resolutions. Number 21.
Ways and Means Committee authorizing extension of contract with the town of Danube to provide assessment services.
This resolution authorizes an extension of the agreement to provide assessment services for the town of Danube. May I have a motion? Mr. Corr, second by Mr. Ackerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 22.
Human Resources, Ways and Means amending Resolution 38 of 2012 authorizing contracts for mental health services.
This resolution amends Resolution number 38 of 2012 to increase the contract with United Cerebral Palsy Association from $480,000 to $490,324. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Ackerman. Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 23.
Human Resources, Ways and Means authorizing reimbursement for professional liability insurance to mental health consultant.
This resolution authorizes Dr. Vinay Patel to receive reimbursement up to $1,500 annual for professional liability insurance associated with psychiatric services provided at the correctional facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Corse. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 24.
Human Resources, Ways and Means amending contract with consulting counselor for mental health.
This resolution authorizes an amendment of the contract with Ron Fergata, consulting counselor at the County Mental Health Services, to increase the allowable weekly hours worked. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Ackerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 25.
Ways and Means authorizing agreement with Center for Family Life and Recovery for employee assistance program.
This resolution authorizes an agreement with the Center for Family Life and Recovery to provide an employee assistance program to employees of Herkimer County for a period of 1 year. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 26.
Human Resources, Ways and Means authorizing contracts in connection with flexible funds and family services plan.
This resolution authorizes contracts with the agencies listed in connection with the Herkimer County Department of Social Services Flexible Funds for Family Services Plan for the year 2013. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 27.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means amending 2012 budget.
This resolution amends the 2012 budget in connection with the receipt of disaster funds for the Herkimer County Sheriff's Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Ackerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 28.
Ways and Means amending 2012 budget in connection with federal transportation.
This resolution amends the 2012 budget in connection with the receipt of additional federal transportation aid for 2012. May I have a motion? Mr. Weekly, second by Mr. Hyde. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 29.
Ways and Means making appropriation of funds from the fund balance.
This resolution appropriates the amounts listed from the general fund balance. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Hyde. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mano,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bono,
Yes.
Ackerman,
Yes.
Force,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Weekly,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Rhodes, Schrader,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Number 30.
Ways and Means, Human Resources and Information Services amending salary schedules.
This resolution amends the 2013 Herkimer County Salary Schedules 1, 2, and 3 to make the changes as listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Force,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yeah.
Weekly,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Rose, Schrader,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mano,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bono,
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
15.
Resolution passes. Number 31.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means, extending contract for Homeland Security grant.
This resolution authorizes the extension of a 2008 Homeland Security grant for the Office of Emergency Services to expend unused funds. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Number 32.
County properties concerning cancellation of taxes.
This resolution authorizes the cancellation of delinquent tax lien on the premises listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Ackerman,
Yes.
Force,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yeah.
Weekly,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Rose, Schrader,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mano,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bono.
Yes. Resolution passes. Number 33.
Public Safety Emergency Management opposing New York Secure Ammunition Firearms Act.
This resolution opposes the New York State Secure Ammunition and Firearms Enforcement Act of 2013 for the reasons outlined. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by everyone,
Yes.
I believe. Any objection?
Second.
All seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Hart.
Okay. Supporting. I understand the passion and emotion running throughout the valley as a result of some uncertainty over how Remington Arms ownership will react to the New York Safe Act. I will not criticize anyone who may feel differently, take a different position than I am about to. I will be all for a resolution supporting the arms. However, this resolution goes beyond that. I do not know if Remington will change their employment strategy due to the passage of the New York State Safe Act. I don't know whether the law will result in job losses at Remington Arms. I recognize the value of the arms to Herkimer County and the region. I have friends and family members currently employed at the arms. My grandfather raised his family with an income from Remington. My dad worked there for a period of time. We don't know if the passage of the Safe Act will affect the arms commitment to Herkimer County or whether it will result in any job losses locally. I'm not interested in seeing anyone losing their job. As someone who has previously been laid off during difficult economic times, I know how it feels. Nevertheless, if you lose your job, there's always a chance to get another job. Most people do. I did at the time. However, if you lose your life to a bullet or bullets at age 60 or 60, it's over. There's no chance to get your life back. Herkimer County contributed $2 million to the arms in recent years. The federal and state governments have also strongly supported Remington. The members of the New York State delegation, congressional delegation, have made it possible for the arms to receive over $100 million in federal contracts in recent years. New York State has provided Remington with over $6 million since 2009. The state and our state's congressional delegation's historic support demonstrates that the state will not turn their back on the company. I'm hopeful that the Remington leadership will recognize those contributions and remain loyal to the area. The SAFE Act is now law. Rather than concentrating on slamming the state, let's pull together and work with Albany and Washington to stabilize arms operations, which has been done a number of times in the past. CNN recently reported that Bushmaster weapons, which are now made in Ilion, are used by more than 100 police departments and by the military of 50 nations. Certainly, there will still be a market for the weapons under a state ban or a national assault weapons ban if it is reenacted. No one knows if any jobs will be lost locally as a result of SAFE Act. However, sometimes things must be done for the greater good, even if it may cost jobs. I believe that the SAFE Act is one of those instances. Certainly, the leadership of this body understands that concept. County workers have been laid off for what leadership considers the greater good of the county. Those jobs were as valuable to those individuals and their families as anyone else's jobs are to them. There are a number of provisions in the SAFE Act, including those relative to mental health, protection of first responders, and the protection of the identity of lawful gun owners. However, I'm sure the focus tonight and the focus of that resolution is relative to the assault weapons ban. The nationwide assault weapons ban enacted in 1994 is similar to what has recently been enacted in New York. The 94 assault weapons ban stirred great debate and caused some in Congress to do some soul searching at the time. The state of Texas has a long history for gun ownership. Despite that, some Texans in Congress supported the ban. Not only, Texas is often called gun country, not unlike we are around here. For example, Representative Ronald Coleman agreed to support the ban, although he had never voted against it in NRA position since coming to Congress 20 years earlier. Said that he voted for the ban to go along with the wishes of law enforcement officers in his district. He said at the time, if it is a political offense, it cost me my job to try to take Uzis out of the hands of school kids and make it harder for drug thugs and gangs to get the machine guns that wantonly killed our police officers and children, so be it. Representative Andrews of Texas said, I've always believed in the old Texas saying that gun control means steady aim. He went on to tell reporters, at the same time, I'm convinced that if we limit the availability of military-style assault weapons, we will be taking a meaningful step toward improving the safety of our streets without trampling on our constitutional rights. Andrew, the lifelong hunter, asked, who can, in good conscience, defend such weapons as appropriate for hunters or sportsmen? Anyone that needs a 20-round clip of high-velocity ammunition to fell a duck or deer needs to look into taking up golf. In a joint letter to Congress, former Presidents Reagan, Carter, and Ford encouraged Congress to pass the '94 assault weapons ban. President George W. Bush said in 2004 that if Congress voted to extend the assault weapons ban, he would sign it. They didn't support the assault weapons ban because they wanted to take gun makers' jobs away. They did it because they reasonably believed that it would save lives. Every president in recent history, with the exception of George H.W. Bush, supported an assault weapons ban. Could they have all been wrong on that issue? Ironically, H.W. Bush was the one president who did not support an assault weapons ban, went on to resign from the NRA later as a result of what he considered dangerous statements by the current leadership of that group. And he believed at the time that may cause a threat to federal officers. That was shortly over after the Oklahoma City bombing. Ironically, in 2010, 10 national law enforcement associations, including the National Sheriff's Association, formed the partnership, push for an organized and aggressive response from policy makers at the federal, state, and local level to combat the gun violence and rising number of officer deaths. It is our law enforcement officials that often have to face assault weapons. I believe that SAFE Act fits the description of what that organization was looking for. Those critical of an assault weapons ban frequently state that it will do no good because it will not totally eliminate the problem or make it impossible for criminals to get those types of guns. I suppose same argument could be made that if you outlaw possession of anything, for example, meth, alcohol by minors, or stolen property, it will not completely eliminate possession of those things, so it should have never been enacted. We do know that making bath salts harder to get by outlawing the sale and possession of it has greatly diminished dangerous incidents connected to that substance. However, chances are that bath salts in the hands of criminals will never totally be eliminated. In their letter to Congress, Reagan, Ford, and Carter stated that it's a matter of vital importance to the public safety. While we recognize that assault weapons legislation will not stop all assault weapon crime, statistics prove that we can dry up the supply of these guns, making them less accessible to criminals. Why do I think that a law an assault weapons ban is for the higher good, in spite of my support for Remington Arms? I'll just say a couple of many reasons. On December 12, 2012, the government blew out the entrance to elementary school, walked in and riddled 5 and 6-year-olds with bullets with an assault rifle that could fire 45.
That's not true. It's not true.
I'll show you the articles and I'll send them.
That's not true.
Okay, then a few articles, including CNN, were wrong. So I will clarify that. For those that innocent, I'll prove it, because it's there. Those innocent children never had a chance to look for a job. The staff members that were killed will never show up for any job again, nor will they ever come home to their children or their spouses. The tutor used a Bushmaster from his mom's collection to cause the carnage. No one will ever know if he would have tried to get the gun on the black market, or if he would have cooled off or been foiled while trying to obtain the gun illegally. We do know the fact that the gun was lying around in his house. The fact that the gun was laying around in his house made it easy for him to cause the carnage. On Christmas Eve of last year, William Spengler set a fire and lay in wait for the first responders to show up so he could kill them with his Bushmaster semi-automatic rifle. He killed 2 firefighters. That incident really hit home with me because as a 12-year member of the village board, I always felt a strong commitment to first responders' safety. Furthermore, my son is a fireman. The 24-year-old girl purchased the Bushmaster, for the killer she purchased the Bushmaster at a Gander Mountain retail store for the killer. Could she purchase the same thing now on the black market? Sure she could. Would she go through the hassle and risk making an illegal purchase under the new law? Maybe not. We'll never know. In 2000, with my support, the village created an emergency response team that went on to receive a great deal of training. Following that decision, I was also always fearful that our men would be placed in a very dangerous situation. Just as I always felt the bond for the firemen that were always on duty for us, I also felt a strong connection and responsibilities to our police officers. Nevertheless, the officers on the response team were committed to effort and understood the risk. My fears about our officers' safety turned to reality on Thanksgiving Eve of 2004. While we are all looking forward to the Thanksgiving holiday, our search team, response team, was assisting the Alien Police Department in executing a warrant. I received a call from the mayor while I was at a family member's house. The mayor advised me that one of our officers had been shot and his condition was unknown at the time. More of our officers were also in the line of fire, but okay, or at least okay physically. The perpetrator was killed by officers before he was able to shoot anyone. Fortunately, the officer that caught a bullet in the arm and shoulder survived. His vest saved him. He ultimately recovered and returned to work after a lengthy period of time. Thankfully, he has also been able to be a father and a husband to all those years since. That could have changed if a bullet traveled in a slightly different path by inches, or if the shooter had high-tech armor-piercing bullets available today. The shooter's weapon of choice was an AR-15 that is currently manufactured in Ilion. I believe they should stay with the military and law enforcement. And the shooter, who was being served a warrant, had legally owned the gun until that evening. For the reasons stated above, I'm not supporting the resolution that assaults the SAFE Act. In the meantime, I'll continue to reach out to officials in Albany and Washington in an effort to preserve Remington arms, as I have done frequently over the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I respect that there's many opinions in this room. I respect that Mr. Hartman has his. I very much support this resolution. I am disheartened with the political process that brought forward the law. I've been a person in this room that have called out and challenged when I believe that information hasn't been properly shared and hasn't been given to us in ample time to review. Public comment's not been sought. That's what happened with this. My governor chose to do this for whatever the motives and reasons were. I personally think it was to gain the limelight and perhaps jump in before something happened in Washington. I think greater research needs to be done. There are provisions of this law that I would support in background checks. But when I hear my governor say he doesn't think it will affect jobs in our area, I listened to the radio this morning, the television this morning, and know that the unemployment rate in our area at 9.1%. And there is no science that says that this will keep our people safer. There is no science that says that what Remington Arms is doing is causing the people to grab guns and do these horrendous acts. there's process that should have been brought to bear, there's thoughtful time. Political capital was spent, people abrogated their responsibilities to seek out the law and understand it, and people lined up to vote when, in order to satisfy that political agenda. Some did it out of their hearts, some did it because of politics. I very much support the Remington Arms. I want to know what the impact is on the arms. I want to see changes. I want to see background checks. I want to know that mental health is adequately available for the people that need those services. There's controversy about whether the gentleman, individual who murdered those children, did he use an assault rifle? I've heard he had handguns, enough handguns in there, and the assault rifle was left in the car. I read that someplace. Whether it's true or it's not true, proliferation of guns, unfortunately, in the hands of law-abiding citizens, they're okay. It's in the hands of the lunatics, in the hands of the malaligned, it's in the hands of those who just want destruction. And I don't believe that this law is going to do it. Thoughtful process we need, but we need to also know that we support the Remington Arms, we support the people that have got bread and butter on the table, and I'm not prepared to support this law and what they've done. I believe that we need to call out and say, let's rethink this process, and that's why I will support this, in all due respect to my colleague, Mr. Hartman.
Mr. Hendricks?
I think that this was really an ill-conceived, and I agree with Mrs. Rhoda, that somebody shot in the hip, so to speak. And we've got a thing from the New York State Sheriff's Association, a statement that they put out. I've got a copy of it, anybody'd like to see it, the Sheriff Barber gave it to me. And it's the sheriffs of New York are not of one mind regarding the recently enacted New York SAFE Act. Most sheriffs support some provisions of the act while questioning the wisdom and efficiency of others. It is a view of the Sheriff's Association that any time government decides it is necessary to nibble around the edges of the constitutional right, it should be done with great caution and only if the benefit to be gained is so great it far outweighs the damage done by the consideration of individual liberty. While many of the provisions of the bill have surface appeal, it is far from certain that many of them will have a significant effect in reducing gun violence. And that's presumed goal. And then it goes on, just basically stating that there wasn't any time taken for mature development of this bill. I saw today that a woman was convicted, sent to prison for 15 years, set her house on fire, burned her 4 children to death. Not just guns. I think if we talked about McVeigh blowing up a building in Oklahoma City. Woman drives the car in with her kids in the car and drowns them in a lake. Not just guns. There's something the matter with society. When we were kids, we went out, we had BB guns, we had 22s, we had all sorts of guns. Nobody shot anybody. Now everybody's shooting people. Everybody's stabbing people, everybody's setting houses on fire. We've got to do something with society. I agree with background checks. I think there should be further background checks. But I think if anybody's got issues, it should be in the background. If I get picked up for DWI tonight, everybody in Canada and the United States is going to know about it tomorrow morning. All they got to do is plug it in. If I get in a domestic assault case or do something crazy, nobody's going to know about it except the local agency that arrested me. And there's something wrong with that process. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Shaw?
I agree with Mr. Hendricks. I don't think guns are the total problem. You know, we had a couple airplanes that flew into buildings in New York City.
Amen to that.
Killed a lot of people. The one thing I noticed over time, as God was taken out of the courthouse and taken out of the schoolhouse, this is what we have. Right and wrong are based on 10 commandments. They're not suggestions, they're commandments. And if you don't teach children from little on up what's right and wrong, when they get big, they don't know. It's that simple. You're never going to pass a law that's going to stop all the crime. It's just impossible to do. There's enough laws on the books right now, if they'd be enforced, crime would be down. Simple.
I agree with you. I just want, is there anyone else? I just want to say, you know, I agree with you, Len. It's society. It's Hollywood. It's, you know, it seems the norm, unfortunately, now. You know, we have 360 million people in this country. There's 300 million guns. Are you really gonna stop every gun? Are you gonna register every gun? It's not gonna happen. We can't keep track of 12 million illegal aliens. How are you gonna keep track of 300 million guns? Unfortunately, it'll happen again. You know, there are people that, you know, want to duplicate this. I agree, Len. What do you do with DWI? How many people do we lose in DWI in this country a year? 500,000? People still drink. You know, Oklahoma bombing. They still sell diesel fuel and fertilizer. We're getting crazy. It's crazy. Anyone else? For the record, I support this resolution. I support Remington Arms, support the Second Amendment. And, you know, this is about jobs, people. This is Remington country. We need their support. They need our support at this time, and I'm going to support it with a yes vote. Mr. Johnson.
I'd just like to say I support Remington also, and I'll support this resolution at this time. And I do agree with Lenny and Mrs. Rose. And I see roll call too.
Sure. Clerk will call the roll.
Weekly,
Yes.
Hartman,
No.
Rose,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Absolutely, yes.
Mano,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bono,
Absolutely yes.
Ackerman,
Yes.
Horse,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Shaw.
Definitely, yes.
14.
Resolution passes. Now go to comments by legislators. Any comments? Mr. Hyde.
Just a brief comment. On the summary cost of employers due to our workers' compensation, you should go down through the list and you look at the number or the amount of money that Herkimer County pays out, which we pay out quite a bit to ourselves for people that have gotten hurt on the job. Tonight we received a check for $30,000 because we're doing a good job. I think there's a lot more that can be done. If you look at some of these municipalities, some of the fire departments, they have absolutely no claim whatsoever. I think there ought to be some recognition given to these people as an encouragement to keep up the good work. I don't think we do enough in loss prevention. I think we ought to have a committee that studies loss prevention. This is the catalyst that drives the cost of our insurance plan. And we're not doing a thing. We accept these figures every year, whether they go up or down. But we're not making a concerted effort to step out there and let each department know. If you have one accident, you better be able to verify it. It's too easy to have an accident. It's too easy for Joe Blow to say, oh, I hurt my back, and we pay him 50 grand. It's gotta stop. We ought to start a program that would look into this and make it aware to the villages that we have a program and we will come and make a presentation. I know when I was in the fire department and I was chief, I gave a presentation on workers' comp. Everybody had the opinion, well, if you get hurt, the county's gonna pay for it. I said, yes, the county's gonna pay for it. But then in turn, the county's gonna come back and ding the village for every penny that they pay you because of your recklessness or carelessness. But there are accidents that cannot be avoided. But there's a lot of them that can be avoided through education. I think we gotta take a hard look at it. Thank you.
Mr. Russell, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say two things. I had the privilege of meeting our congressman in the North Country, Mr. Bill Owens, and spent a good part of the morning with him. Made him well aware of Remington and our gun issues, and talked about, you know, our Medicaid issues and things of that nature. And he was well aware of it. We went out and did some cross-country skiing, which I thought it was nice that he saw the area and enjoyed the area. So I really appreciated the fact that he came up here with us. The other thing I wanted to say is, this January 30th, a woman in Old Forge by the name of Seal Buckley is going to turn 100 years old, and thank you, Mr. Bono, for doing the proclamation. I'm going to try to do that January 27th when they have a little party for her, but I know all of you are here to wish her the very best, so I'm going to send that her way on behalf of the Anyone else? Mr. Corse.
One of the resolutions tonight authorized the renewal of a contract with the town of Greenview for assessing services. And we have 5 or 6 different municipalities that contract with us for various assessing services. And we discussed assessing and the possibility of the county doing assessing. We know that we can't absorb the cost, and then the cost sometimes becomes prohibitive for some of these townships. I think that the office of ORPS, Real Property Assessment Services out of Albany, if they were as rabid about going after counties as the Commission of Corrections is, you'd have assessing at 100% with none of this 20 different equalization rates. It would be one assessing, everything would be at 100%. You wouldn't have inequities that exist. The school tax is the biggest property tax. And if you have 3 or 4 different municipalities in a school district, and one municipality is doing a responsible job at 100%, and a couple other ones are doing lame jobs, those people are paying the brunt of those taxes in those districts. And it's not fair. And this inequity persists. And again, ORPS, if they were doing what they should be doing, enforcing what they should be forcing, there'd be a lot more fairness in property tax payments in the whole state.
Today we received, Jim forwarded to us an assessment by NISAC, a preliminary assessment of the impact on local government for the governor's budget. I look forward to greater information on that, because there were some exciting things. As Dennis was speaking, I'm thinking about how many times do we have to vote that sales tax to renew it, and Dennis would say, we have to come back and do this every time, and finally somebody said, let's go with home rule. We're not required to vote every 2 years to maintain the existing levels. Interesting that he's calling for the closing of Beacon, one of the state prisons, and talking about trying to contain costs and control municipalities, and as Dennis indicated, the Commission on Corrections is driving that bus to build the jails and have more and more and larger. I hope that we're going to be able to see some information on the Medicaid. I know Mr. Hartman talking about the 1%, but if the state follows through with the adjustments in 2014, if you can believe that, will we have revenue that we'd be able to share? A lot of things that could be positive in there. I guess an awful lot more to be digging into the detail, the devil being in the detail, and I look forward to getting that information from NISAC and also the review locally on how we believe it's going to impact us. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor?
Well, if there's no further business, I move we adjourn to Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah.
No, that's no
Could we, I entertain a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel in regard to,
And what?
the Valley Health Services, HCCC project that we had discussed. I want to bring everybody up to speed, and I believe we need to go into executive session for that. Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Russell. We are in executive session.
That's it.